Well, hello and welcome to episode 87 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here as always with Michaela. Michaela, you and I ventured out to the movie theater last night. It was dangerous. There were things flying through the sky, but we persevered. We made it in to see a new movie and we are excited to be talking about it this week for everyone. But what else have you been up to, aside going to movies with, potential aliens slash creatures that may or may not eat us just for, tempting fate? What else have you been up to?
Well, I started my documentary kind of shtick that happens once in a while. You have really inspired me. Both you and your wife watch a ton of documentaries.
Yes.
And so I was like, hey, I want to be more like y'all. And I started this really amazing one that actually my son got me into. And he's only 7, but he is obsessed with the mystery of D.B. Cooper.
Oh, okay.
And for any of you who don't know who that is, it's a true story about a man who he's called himself Dan Cooper, and he hijacked a Northwest Orient flight as it flew from Portland to Seattle on November 21st, 1971. And he actually asked for like $250,000 and 4 parachutes, and then he jumped off the back of the plane and no one saw him again. It's a very famous unsolved mystery. And but this year, in fact, a couple weeks ago, DB Cooper, Where Are You? Came out, and it's like a 4 or 5 part miniseries, documentary series about all of the suspects that the world thought really fit the bill for DB Cooper, because even though a lot of people saw him, he hadn't been seen again. And so I got to tell you, my son and I have been really digging into this docuseries. We're 1 episode away, so I don't know if it reveals who they actually think it is, or if they finally get this person. It's been 50 years. It's been a long time. So whoever it is, they might not be alive anymore to confess, but I'm sure enjoying it. If you like a good like true crime, unsolved mysteries thing, I think it'd be fun for everybody to watch. What about you? Have you seen anything?
Yeah, so I have. Well, I saw that was available. It's on Netflix, I believe. We haven't started into that one yet, but I did finish up a documentary. Speaking of documentaries, we were hanging out, the wife and I, and she kind of fell asleep on the couch. So I was browsing through stuff to watch, and I stumbled back upon the Get Out documentary that Peter Jackson did about the Beatles. And I'd watched the first 2 episodes of that, but I never finished. I never watched the third part, in part because they're very long episodes. They're each like 2.5 hours long each. And if I could see how it could kind of be lost on you. You kind of get the gist of it, in like the first half hour, of their brilliance and what they're trying to accomplish. So if you're really not into like the creative process and you're really not into the Beatles, it's probably a little dull, but I found it fascinating personally. And my wife was asleep, so I turned that on and finished it up, got through the end of that 3-week period of the Beatles' life, coming up with that album there. So that was really great. So I'd highly recommend, at least checking out a little bit of it, even if you don't, stick around through all 3 parts. I think it's worth just kind of, picking a spot, jumping in and just watching, these 4 geniuses just do their thing for a while. It's pretty great. So check that out. Check out other documentaries. And if you have other documentaries that we should check out, let us know. But for now, Michaela, we need to take a quick break. We need a drink, because after the movie last night, I needed a drink then. I need a drink now to talk about it. We need all sorts of drinks. So we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back for this week's cocktail.
So this week, we took our inspiration from the horses we see at the Haywood Hollywood Ranch, heading up to the sky, and we decided to go for it and have a flying horse cocktail from Absolut.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were a little inspired. We're going to be talking about Nope this week. And, other than seeing the trailer and that it looks kind of insane, you didn't really know much about it. The movie posters for this film were awesome. And it was basically just a bunch of various objects just, flying up to this, I don't know, something in the sky. You didn't know what was up. But the most iconic one, and kind of the most iconic visual maybe from the film, is the horse going up into the sky. So we decided to go with a flying horse cocktail. And this one, it comes to us from Absolut Vodka. vodka. So you are encouraged to use Absolut vodka if you have that, or you could use any vodka, or maybe even a gin, but we'll get into that. So the way you're going to do this, it's pretty much a basic martini sort of style. So you're going to take 1.5 ounces of your vodka, a half ounce of dry vermouth, and a half ounce of Grand Marnier, or you could use triple sec, basically just kind of any orange liqueur. And you're going to put that in your shaker with ice, shake it, and strain it into a chilled martini glass. Throw a cherry in there for added effect, and sip and enjoy. So, Michaela, we love a martini. We love variants on a martini, but I've never dreamed of putting Grand Marnier in a martini. But why did I never dream of that? Because that makes total sense.
It makes total sense. It's delicious. It adds a nice sweetness to it. So one of the things that people might not like about a martini is it can be awfully dry and very boozy. This is still boozy, but it's just got to kick a sweetness into it. So you're not overwhelmed by like the tangy kind of acidicness that can sit in your mouth when you're having gin or vodka. I thought this was really nice, and I love the cherry at the end, because there's nothing better than a booze-soaked cherry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This was delicious. And yeah, it just gives it a little hint of sweetness. It gives it a little bit more mouthfeel from that Grand Marnier. And this was quite lovely. And I wanted to go back and then try it with a gin. If you've been listening to the podcast for any time, you know that I much prefer a gin martini to a vodka martini. So I gave that a try with a gin, and in particular, American gins are good for this because a lot of them have sort of these kind of citrus fruit notes to them, and that botanical blend, orange or grapefruit, stuff like that. So give that a try with the gin, because it's also excellent, pairs really nicely with that Grand Marnier, and you still get that delicious cherry at the end. But did you have a chance to try this with the gin, Michaela, or is that on your to-do list for this weekend?
Yeah, I did try it with a gin. My favorite gin lately is Brockman's, right? It's just it's a nice, and so I did a twofer with this.
Oh, okay.
I did one with the vodka and one with the gin. I have to say, I think for this one, I think I preferred it with the vodka because I think my gin was too floral.
Okay.
I think you're going to need a real, and I don't want to say basic, because there's nothing wrong with kind of just a dry gin. If I had to do it again, this might be good with like a very kind of like a Seagram's gin. I mean, you don't have to do anything super special with it because you really want that Grand Marnier to shine through. And I think mine was just a little too floral, and so it didn't work as well as
kind of muddied it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. So you can take your crack at it with vodka or gin, or both, which is what we do around Drink the Movies town here. So now that we have these made, Michaela, we need to take our flying horse cocktail. We need to go talk about flying horses, and we need to take a break so we can come back and get into this week's film, Nope.
Spoiler warning for Nope. If you've not yet seen this flying horse thriller, you should stop what you're doing. You should go make yourself a flying horse, and then you should come back and we should chat about it. But we're going to totally chat about it. So if you've not yet seen Nope, it just came out. We're definitely going to talk about the end. So spoiler warning. This is a true spoiler warning.
That's right. It is a spoiler warning. But maybe you could listen to this too. Maybe that'll help give you some context for when you go to see it, or I don't know, maybe not. Maybe we won't make any sense, and we will just further muddy the waters here for Nope. But yeah, this was just released on July the 22nd, 2022. It was directed by Jordan Peele. This is his third foray into the box office here, and it stars Daniel Kaluuya, again, back together. He's starring O.J. Haywood. His sister is played by Kiki Palmer, Emerald Haywood. And then we have Stephen Yeun is playing Ricky Jupe Park. And we have a couple other characters we're going to be talking about as we get into these. But as I said, Michaela, third foray for Jordan Peele. He had Get Out and Us. What do you think about Jordan Peele? He hit us all over the head with that first film. Probably going to go down as one of the great films of all time, probably in the history books, and then Us. But what are your kind of general thoughts on Jordan Peele as we get this thing kicked off?
Yeah, I love him. I think everything he touches, he has a really great eye for like thrillers that touch on, just things that are in terms of today quite scary, but also he's got these really great social undertones. I thought Get Out was truly a work of art. For anybody that's not seen it, you should see it. It was, I think, the only horror film that has been nominated for Best Picture in the history of film. And for a reason. It is so good. And Us, I really loved. I mean, he's got this really twisted sense of like, he really knows what scares people, and he really knows what the way to film a scene to make it even more scary. That you've seen scenes where it's like, oh, we think there's a ghost, or oh, there's someone in the house, and we've seen that done 100 times, and yet he does it in such a way where we're still like, our breath is caught up in our throats, and I screamed a couple times watching this Nope. But he continues to do it. So pretty much anything he touches, I go and watch. And I find that I also learn from a little bit about myself, and it helps me change my paradigm, because some of the things that he does show us are kind of social experiments or things like that are interesting to think about. So
yeah, and he's certainly, it's very kind of a change of pace from your more standard horror stories, because he's such a good writer, right? So he won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay for Get Out, and then he has this kind of great eye for telling the story, and it's kind of insane that he's already so accomplished just 3 films in. But with that in mind, Michaela, we had some expectations for this movie going into it. We'd been seeing the trailer now kind of off and on over this past year. We were just waiting for it to hit the theaters so we could go see it. We were both very excited for it. It looked creepy. You don't really get a good feeling for what was going on in this big kind of bombastic barrage of sound that's coming through on the trailer. You get the little inflatable wavy guys. You're like, this looks bad and scary, but I don't really know much about it. So I guess, what were your expectations? Last night when the the trailers ended and this came up, what were your expectations for it?
I was a little terrified, actually, because I saw Get Out in the comfort of my own home. I didn't make it out to see it in the theaters. The same with Us, because I thought that it was going to be too scary for me to watch in a theater. And we really wanted to do a podcast on this film. So we went to the theater to see this. And I do remember telling you, I'm sorry if I scream, because I knew for sure there was going to be a moment of abject terror, because Jordan Peele does that. And it's a different fear than like a slash 'em up scary fear. So yeah, I was excited. And boy, that opening scene does not disappoint. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it leans right into the creepy, and you should expect no less. So yes, and as Michaela said, there were a couple of screams. I think you had screaming twice down in the official ticker last night. But yeah, we'll probably hit those parts as we go through it. And like you said, it gets started off pretty creepy right away. You're on like this TV show set. There is this chimpanzee moving around. He's covered in blood. You know that something bad has happened, and then it just ends with this super eerie, creepy, as he's staring directly in the camera right at you, the viewer, like straight into your soul. It's pretty horrifying. You don't know what's going on. There's a shoe standing straight upright on the stage, and then it cuts to, I guess, supposedly kind of present day, more or less, and you get kind of that horse riding with the rider on it that you've seen in the trailer. You get a biblical verse: "I will cast abominable filth upon you, make you vile, and make you a spectacle." And we are on to the Haywood horse ranch, the Hollywood horse ranch.
That's right. And we meet our main characters. You have, as you say, Daniel Kaluuya as O.J. Haywood. And he works with his father on this ranch. His father is amazing.
Yeah, he's played by Keith David, is playing his father Otis. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that guy. So I hadn't seen him in a little while, so I was glad to see him. But they're working on this ranch that is also they train horses. And so they're train horses for the Hollywood movies, right? So they're out on their ranch, kind of. There's these really eerie scenes of what it takes to actually run a horse ranch in this way, and the way that they have their horses in the arena, and they have these sprinkler systems that make sure that the ground that the horses are running on is damp enough so that it doesn't kick up all the dust, and all of these really interesting shots at the beginning. And they're just kind of hanging out when they hear this really strange sound, and it's coming from the sky, but they can't see anything in the sky. And it's very weird. And then all of a sudden, like like these invisible pelts kind of come down, and you don't know what any of it is, but OJ is looking around. His dad is kind of out on top of a horse named Lucky, I think. And all of a sudden you see his dad kind of slump over, and you're like, oh no, something happened. And apparently one of these things that fell out of the sky hit him in the head. And I don't know if you know how gravity works. There's a reason why at like the top of the Empire State Building, you're not allowed to throw things off of the top, because when they get to the bottom of the earth, or, the surface of the earth, they're going really fast, and they're kind of like bullets then, no matter what you're throwing. So poor OJ tries his best to get his dad to a hospital. But it's unsuccessful.
Yeah, it's really kind of eerie because all this stuff's falling from the sky. You don't know what it is, but you can kind of hear it. It's it sounds just like when the rain starts, and you kind of hear the drops starting to hit the surface, and you'll see like little clouds of dirt and stuff kind of kicking up, and then you see obviously something hits him as he falls off of the horse. And you don't find out then until after the hospital kind of what that is. You see OJ, he's driving back home in the truck. He looks over, and there's kind of this blood covered is a nickel, I think, in this little bag on the seat. And then he gets back, he sees the horse, and there's like a key that had gotten lodged into the kind of the hindquarter of the horse there. So it's just all of this metal bits that are just falling from the sky, and you are like, what is going on? I don't understand this at all. That seems real bad. We should probably get out of there, but we're not going to get out of there, because now your father has died. You're now in charge of this horse ranch. So what are you going to do? You're going to go out and try to find some work. So you're headed back out to Hollywood to take your horse for, I don't know what they were shooting. They didn't really get into the specifics of it. It was a commercial or something, but we've got Lucky the horse on set.
That's right. And, I feel for OJ because he's quiet. He's a quiet gentleman, and he's looking around for his sister. His sister M is supposed to be there, and she's never there when he needs her to be there. Throughout most of this film, he's like, where is she? And people are talking to him, and he's like, yeah, my sister is going to be here to handle this piece. And they have to do a safety moment, which and all that means is, you talk about, hey, here are the do's and do nots around this animal, because it's a horse and it can hurt you. And M finally shows up, and she does have the safety moment, but not before she lists all the other things that she does. Like, she's an actress, and she's a singer, and she's a dancer, and she can ride motorcycles, and she's a stunt person, and she's a seamstress, and she does all these things. And that really gets under OJ's skin, because he's like, we're trying to work on dad's business, and you've got all this side hustle. And but they don't really listen. These film crews, they kind of do whatever the heck they want, which is really unfortunate. And so there's this weird mirror that's like a mirror ball thing that they put up in front of the horse's face. Don't know why they do that. That seems like a real bad idea. And I'm not even a horse person. But of course, the horse gets scared and ends up kind of kicking up, and someone gets hurt. Now, they're not really badly hurt, but either way, the director is not thrilled with this, and basically tells OJ, this is not your time. This is just not a good fit. Yep. And so, he's pretty dejected. And the only person that seems kind of fascinated by this whole thing is the actual cinematographer, who is amazing. And we see more of him later, but he's got this really raspy voice. And so the whole time he's like, go ahead and get the horse on the stair. Are we ready to go? Are we ready to shoot?
he has a very cool raspy voice. He has a very cool name. His name is Antlers Holst. He's played by Michael Wincott, and yeah, he's kind of this super famous cinematographer, right? He can get all of these impossible shots, and we'll see him a couple of times as we kind of talk to him on the phone before he ends up coming back to the ranch later in the film, where he's just watching all of like this like nature like footage, like National Geographic stuff that presumably he probably shot, and all this crazy stuff. But yeah, they're there. They leave the film set. What are you going to do? The horse farm is struggling, but we are headed to Jupiter's Claim. It's some sort of like little like family like carnival kind of thing out in the desert. They've got little rides, little attractions to go to, and it is ran by Ricky Jupe Park. Stephen Yun plays him. Very excellent, very excellent. And we learn that OJ is being, he's having to kind of sell these horses off to this park because they can't afford to keep all these horses. He's not been getting work. His dad has passed away in that tragic accident early in the film there. So he's selling them. He's trying to maybe strike a deal with Ricky to be able to buy these horses back eventually. He wants to kind of put that plan into place. We get kind of that exchange you mentioned with his sister there with Emerald, how she has all these side hustles, and she tells him very quickly, she's like, no, bro, this is my side hustle. This family farm, that's the side hustle, because I don't really care about the family farm. Dad never taught me anything about it. I was never involved in it. So I'll come back and help you, but this is the side gig. I'm doing all this other rich and famous stuff. That's my main gig. But yeah, they're there. He's trying to strike this deal with Ricky, and then we learn a little bit more about the events of the opening scene there on that film set on Gordy's home. So we're catching back up with the chimpanzee because Ricky was one of the actors on that set.
Yeah, so he was young. He was a he was, I don't know, maybe 12. And the scene, he's making light of it as he's talking about how he was there, and they've done like an SNL skit, which sounds pretty beyond the pale, even for SNL. That because basically what happens is it's a birthday party, they're filming, and it's a real chimpanzee. Chimpanzees are very cute, but they are also incredibly dangerous. And they open up this box of balloons, and the balloons kind of go up to the top of the sound stage, and one of them pops, and it really startles one of the chimps that was playing Gordy. And this chimpanzee loses their mind and ends up killing. You don't know. I don't know if anybody died, but definitely looks like they died. And it's not super bloody, but it's bloody enough. And this poor kid, Ricky, is hiding underneath this table, watching, his co-stars basically get torn to shreds by this chimpanzee. It's really awful. And apparently, as Jacob is, as Ricky is relaying this as an adult, he's like, oh, I got this secret room where he's got all of these props and things from that day. There's a couple of flashbacks where you see him kind of with blood spatter on his face, terrified underneath this table, trying not to draw any attention from this chimp that is like doing awful things to other people around him. And there you see the shoe, and he's like, oh, I saved the shoe. It was standing straight up, and it was so weird the way that it did that. And it was just very strange, but he's decided, this guy Jupe has decided to buy this old ghost town. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like the Goldfield ghost town or the Gold King mine and ghost town. They have them in like Arizona. They're these old ghost towns that they've rejuvenated to make some money. You go there, and they've got like a place where you can take like old timey photos, and they have like rides, like you said, but they've got this really cool old picture taking thing where it looks like you can look down in this mine, and it takes a picture as you're looking up, as you're looking down in it. So it has this really cool like dark circle, and in the inside you can see as if you're looking down the shaft to see if you're going to help Timmy down in a well or something. It's really kind of neat. But it's super creepy because Jupiter, he's got something up his sleeve, and you know that then, because you know he's obviously quite traumatized and not quite right, but he is very interested in buying not only horses from OJ, but he also asks if, you know, OJ would be interested in selling his ranch, which is, you know, kind of next door to this fun town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it is super, it's very creepy, it's very off-putting, because we see Jupe, you know, in that flashback where, you know, he's seeing it kind of ends with that chimpanzee just staring straight into the camera, and then it goes on from there, where he's going up to young Jupe, who's hiding under the table, and you know, the police or animal handlers or whatever come in and shoot him. So, and he's talking about it, you know, almost, you know, he's not talking about like the trauma that it caused him. He's talking about how there was a Saturday Night Live skit, and he has all this stuff, and all these people want to come and see it. Like, he's kind of capitalizing off of his own trauma kind of there. And then yeah, he wants to buy the farm, and you don't really understand quite why. And of course, OJ doesn't want to sell the farm. That's the family farm. So that's where we are going back to. We are back at the family farm. They're hanging out. You know, Emerald's like, can we go in? Can we just party? Can you calm down? Just relax, OJ. We'll catch up. We'll have some drinks. We'll put on some records. We'll have a good time. So that's kind of what they're doing. They're sitting there, listening to some tunes, having some brother sister time, talking about some stuff. And then, you know, the power kind of starts to flicker, which doesn't seem good. It seems pretty bad if you're out in the middle of nowhere and that power surge starts to happen. Go outside, and you know, yeah, you see something you probably don't want to see when you're out in the middle of nowhere by yourself, and that is a big scary something or other up in the sky coming in, taking whatever it wants right off of your farm.
Yeah, taking whatever it wants, including a horse. Takes an entire horse.
Including a horse. I believe by the name of Ghost. We get kind of little like chapter introductions as we go through the film. Shows that, you know, kind of straight up on the screen we have Ghost, and then we're kind of into this section here where the unknown being from the sky is taking the horse.
Yeah. And, you know, OJ, he's at first incredibly freaked out, and so is his sister. But then they come up with the idea that, hey, you know, they can make some money off of this. People want to see this. You know, it's no secret that I guess UFOs are a real thing now, because, like, I don't know, 4 years ago, the U.S. government released footage that you can't really see of something that they have no idea what it is. And so, you know, we think UFOs are probably real. I think most people think that, but no one has really captured it on film in a way that that is the way that they want.
Very satisfying way.
In a very satisfying way, right? Yeah. It's kind of like Sasquatch, you know, you just need more. So they come up with this great idea. They're like, all right, we're going to go get some cameras. We're going to set them up in various places on the ranch. And we're going to get real amazing footage. It's going to be awesome. We're going to make a ton of money. You know, M's really excited. It's the only thing she likes about this ranch so far in this film. So they go do that. Now, where do they go to do that? They go to Fry's Electronics, where you go. Yep. Have you ever been to a Fry's? Have you?
I have not been to a Fry's. I think they were started out in California. I don't know that they ever made it quite this far east. I don't recall ever seeing one out over this way. And I think that I don't know what the exact time period is supposed to have been for this, because I know we see OJ and he's using like his cell phone, but it's like an older, like one of those Nokia flip phones. So I don't know if that was intentional, if it was supposed to have been like dated a little bit, or if that was just to kind of make the story kind of feel more timeless, you know, as, you know, we get 20 years from this, you know, it's not, you know, rooted in super technology. But yeah, they go to Fry's. They say, we need some security cameras. They're talking to a guy there who's going to get them all set up. His name is Angel Torres. He's played by Brandon Perea. He's really great. He goes out to the farm and starts setting up these cameras. And yeah, he's the one telling them, you know, all the government declassified all this stuff. You know, aliens are real. We really want to get some good shots of this. And he offers, he's like, if you want, I can totally, you know, watch these cameras too for you guys. You know, he wants in on this action, I think, a little bit. And, you know, they want to try to capture, you know, this UFO or whatever this thing is up in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it definitely is supposed to have this older timey feel. Fry's Electronics went out of business about a year and a half ago, but I've actually been in one, and it was very nostalgic to me when I saw it on the screen, because we had one in Houston. And if you really needed help, if you really didn't understand how computers worked, or you needed a home theater setup, it was like Best Buy on steroids. It was way better, in my opinion. You had people that really knew what they were doing. It was awesome. So I'm so glad that Jordan Peele used this choice, because it really did show this guy, Angel, was like, you're never going to be able to set these up. I will set them up for you. And of course, he is a total like UFO conspiracy theorist. So he's very excited because he understands while he's setting these things up, he's like, I know what you're going to do. This is going to be amazing. And so he goes back, and of course, because he's some sort of computer hacking genius when it comes to cameras, he can look at the footage in a closed circuit kind of way from his job at the electronics store. And so they, it's the next day, it's the next evening, they're setting up, and, they decide that they're going to try and put a horse out, but they don't want to use a real horse. So what does M do? She goes and steals like this fake metal like horse from Jupiter's gold mine town down the road.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she steals the horse statue from Jupiter's. We get the next kind of section here of the film. It's titled Clover. As she goes out, she puts it out there, and it has kind of this long like pennant banner stringer kind of thing attached to it. And yeah, it's out there in the middle of the field. They're watching it. Unfortunately, some sort of bug, like a praying mantis, I think, gets onto the camera. So the view of our alien craft is obscured, but kind of end result is this thing comes down. It takes the fake horse. It swallows it up. It actually looks really cool then, because you'll see that kind of flagged, trailing thing kind of like hanging out of this cloud looking thing as you go through the night. OJ ends up like in his truck overnight. You get him saying nope. You actually get all the characters saying nope, I think, at some point in this, which is pretty great. And it's funny every time they do it, because it's exactly what you're saying. He's in the car, he like locks the door. But this monster UFO alien being creature thing, it doesn't want a fake horse, it wants a real horse, so it spits out that fake horse, and this prompted one of the screams from Michaela, because that horse comes crashing right down through the front windshield of that car right next to OJ. Not a good look. What are we going to do?
Not a good look. This horse had this like banner of flags, multicolored flags that was attached to it. That doesn't seem to be attached anymore to the horse. But it's terrifying. It's covered in weird blood looking things, but it's a metal horse. So you're like, where did the blood come from? Oh my God. It's so awful. And poor OJ, he can't see anything. He doesn't want to get out of the car because he doesn't want to, piss off the giant thing in the air that can eat things. So he just stays in that car that's half maimed and falls asleep. And then the next day they feel more comfortable getting out of the car, and M comes out of the house and is like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? She comes up with this idea. She says, hey, I wonder if we can go ask that guy with the amazing name,
Antlers Holst.
Antlers,
the cinematographer.
That's like the best name ever. Good on you, Jordan Peele. Whoever came up with that name is amazing. But they call him up and they're like, hey, we've got this UFO thing we're trying to do. And he's like, nah, man, I'm not interested. You guys no, man, I'm not interested. You got the wrong guy. As he's watching really strange videos of like a boa constrictor and a tiger eating each other. It's real strange and gross. But, it's another day. And so Angel's like, hey, rain's going to come. It looks like he comes back and he's like, hey, I'm going to help cover these cameras up. We're going to make sure and keep the bugs off this time. There's another night. We got to figure it out. And they realize, or they remember, that they've been invited by Jupiter to go to this new show that he's been talking about.
Yeah, the Star Lasso experience, it's called. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why they're calling it that. It's
because he is going to be lassoing the star. He thinks he knows how to get this thing to come in, this big UFO monster thing. He thinks he can turn that basically into his own sideshow attraction. And that's what we're going to see.
That's what we're going to go see
if that can happen.
Yeah, so OJ and M do not make it. to this experience, but we do watch it, and he's very excited. His wife is there. His 3 kids are there. Now, we should talk about these 3 kids. So Jupe knows that M and OJ stole this giant metal horse. And so he lets his kids like sneak into the ranch and pretend to be aliens. Yeah. And that is one of the most terrifying moments, because they do a really good job, because they're children, they're small, they've got these really amazing UFO like hats and face coverings on. It's awful. It's a very scary moment. I'm surprised I didn't scream. Maybe that was the second time I screamed. I don't know.
I think that was the first scream. Actually, I think the kids are there before the horse crashes, and so
it was
a whole lot of nope. Garnered a scream. That was a whole lot of nope. Yeah, exactly. And you're saying that when you're watching these little kids, and it is pretty terrifying. And it's also terrifying because Jupe is there for the Star Lasso experience. He's trying to hype up the crowd. There's, I don't know, 20 people there, I guess, is about as good of a turnout as you'd get for one of these little like ghost town roadside attraction kind of things. And he's there's this big sheet covering something, you don't know exactly what it is, and finally he pulls it off, and you see Lucky the horse there in this glass box, and it is, I don't know, it's so unsettling seeing the horse there in that glass box, and like exactly what he's trying to accomplish with this. It flashes over. You get the lady with kind of the maimed face, which is one of the co-stars from the show he was in as a child. He says something offhand about how that was his first crush, or his girlfriend from way back there. So so she's there to kind of witness him basically trying to do the same thing that the people from the TV show are doing, trying to harness this wild animal to bad repercussions, because, our UFO monster in the sky, it wants that horse, but, it doesn't want to be tormented by having this horse in a glass cage. So it's going to eat whatever it wants from the Star Lasso experience. This is not the experience you were hoping for sure.
No, absolutely not. So of course, he opens the door and the horse is like, I'm not moving. Like, screw you, man. I'm not moving. I'm not getting out of this box.
the horse says nope, is what. Yeah,
the horse is like, nope, not today. But everyone else is like looking up, looking around, and then it comes out of the sky, and you see all these, the kids. His 3 kids are looking up. His wife's looking up. All of the viewers are, kind of shading their eyes to try and see it better. You see this really creepy moment where his co-star, who looks not great, I don't know, she's missing like her lips, I don't know, it's really off-putting and you feel awful, but she's like covered, she's got this weird hat and like a veil on so that she looks less bad, but then the veil flips up and you can see her as she's like, it looks like she's smiling, but she's not smiling because she doesn't have a face. Anyway, she's looking up, they're all looking up at this thing, and then of course it opens its mouth. There's this big circle thing in the middle of the UFO looking thing and sucks them all up. And you're immediately terrified and scared. And like, they go up inside this thing. It looks like they're in some weird, like rubber sheet factory. They're covered with weird rubberness and they're like all stuck up together. And this woman is like trying to find something to look at and reach onto, and of course she finds the head of a horse, and she's like in the innards of this alien thing, and it's totally terrifying and it's totally scary. And it's basically, you feel like Jupe tried to recreate a moment from his past, maybe, where he was like, I'm going to train this thing the way that in Gordy's home, the chimpanzee was trained, but he should have known that, when things go bad, they can go very, very bad. And in this case, it's not that you don't have a face anymore. It's that everybody is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everyone is dead. And, the monster UFO thing apparently got its fill, because it goes back over top of the Haywood ranch. This is probably the grossest thing, because you start hearing like this, like raindrops hitting the house as we're inside of it. And then it pans over to the window and you see that the raindrops are indeed blood. And then the house just gets like completely covered in blood, which is really disgusting. I guess that, our UFO monster alien thing cannot eat that many people all in one sitting. It's, it's going to get an upset stomach as you do. But we're still on our path. Emerald still really wants to get this thing on film. She keeps talking about how, she needs to get some footage that's worthy of getting her on Oprah. That is her ultimate goal. OJ, I guess, is just kind of along for the ride. I don't know. One of the things about OJ, he never really like objects to any of the stuff that they're doing, but he never really seems like like it's a good idea, but he doesn't seem to say that, no, we shouldn't be doing this. So they decide to put together a plan. This is kind of their last crack at it. They think they know maybe how they can do it. They've gotten through to our cinematographer, Antlers. He's come in. He makes this homemade like IMAX camera kind of thing with this crank, so it doesn't use electricity, because they've kind of worked out that the electricity kind of surges. Maybe that's what the monster is attracted to, or at least when the monster is close by, it surges all of the electricity, which is bad. So they kind of set up this minefield of those little inflatable wavy guys throughout the whole ranch. It looks super creepy, but also kind of cool, and very vast on the giant IMAX screen that we're watching it on. And they're kind of using that as like a, I don't know, like a radar for this thing. So you can kind of see like them going off and on as this thing is flying overhead. But they think that they can lure it out. They can finally get the good footage of it. And that'll be that, I guess. It's all just kind of, trying to capitalize on this craziness that's going on. And this is their last best crack at it, I guess.
Yeah. And as they're doing this, and like they're shooting, Angel's there to help kind of reload this film camera because it's really cool, but it's, Antlers is like, oh yeah, I made this I made it myself from duct tape and a couple pieces of glass. It's going to be fine. It's super cool. And of course,
Yep.
M is like, this is amazing. It's going to be awesome. And so they've got this plan. They've got these men, these flag men things, these airmen things all over the valley, and they're looking. And then of course something has to come and mess it up. And what messes it up? The press. Because now it's been a day and all of these people are missing, right? You got like 40 people that were over at Jupiter's Claim going to see a show. And now they're, a cream stain all over the house on the ranch next door. And that's unfortunately, no one knows where they are. And so, of course, people are starting to go out and investigate. And so some TMZ reporter, played by Devin Gray, you actually never see him because he's on a motorcycle.
He's wearing like a silver, like mirrored, like Daft Punk helmet.
Yeah. At first, that's who I thought it was. I was like, yeah, no, I was going to start dancing, but no. He's like, you're not getting lucky tonight. You're not getting lucky tonight, dude. You're going to die. And so he is riding around and he's got a camera. And he's on an electric device, right? And anytime
electric motorcycle,
anytime you go near this alien thing, everything stops working. And so what happens? Of course, he gets thrown from his motorcycle. It looks pretty bad. He's just laying there. But instead of being like, call 911, get me help, let me, where are my feet? Like any of those things. He's like, get it on camera. Just somebody pick up the camera and get it on camera. Get this on camera. And it ends up being the death of him because the weird alien thing comes down and eats him.
Yeah,
Sucks
that's right.
him right on up.
Sucks him right on up. Yeah. And they're trying to get the footage of this thing. And as you might imagine, that doesn't really go well for anyone. Emerald, is eventually kind of having to be chased out of there. She gets up onto the electric motorcycle and is able to escape. We have OJ, who is on horseback, which is actually really cool to see Daniel Kaluuya like on horseback in this orange sweatshirt, kind of riding through, very much cowboy style, riding around the ranch. Our filmmakers do not fare quite as well as we go through this section, but luckily the Haywoods are able to make it out, and Emerald finally makes it over. She makes it over to the ghost town ranch, right? She makes it back over to Jupiter's Claim, and she kind of works her way. It looks like it might be the end of her, but she has one last trick up her sleeve, and it involves that super cool camera thing, right?
Yeah. So first I think she is actually trying to kill this alien thing. And so she gets an idea there's this ginormous helium balloon that looks like a
Like
little
a
cowboy.
Macy's, yeah, like a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade balloon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is enormous, and it looks like little Ricky with his with like a gun and like he's got like, it's like the Buddy Christ, only it's a cowboy. So it's like
Yeah.
got a gun on one hand and like
I
a
said it was
thumbs
like
up
the
on the other.
I said it was like the Frisch's Big Boy, but Michaela
Oh,
said she didn't know what that was. So let me know in the comments, or send us a message if it looked like the Frisch's Big Boy, so I don't feel like I'm going crazy. So
no, you're right. No, I see it. But she lets that go and lets it fly up in the air. And then she picks up a bunch of quarters on the ground. Because remember, that's one of the things that we realize is that this alien thing can't process anything metal. And so as it's as it's vomiting blood all over this this ranch house, it's also vomiting all of the coins and keys. And that's what happened to their poor father, is that this thing had been around and we just hadn't known it, right, for a while. And so she picks up all these quarters that are now on the ground, and she's using them one at a time to take these analog photos in this picture thing, photo thing. And every time, of course, it's like a Polaroid, so it comes out and you can see it kind of develop almost instantly. And she's trying to get a picture of it. She's trying to get a picture of it. She's trying to get a picture of it. And of course, man, that Frisch's Big Boy, Buddy Christ, looking cowboy balloon Thanksgiving Day float thing ends up getting eaten by the big alien looking thing, which now it looks like a flying saucer. Now I don't know why it changed mid movie, but it looked very much like a jellyfish.
Yeah, it kind of unfurled. Yeah, it was kind of like this angelic jellyfish kind of a thing. And I don't really know what prompted it to change. I think that for me, kind of the takeaway that I had was you spend the majority of the movie thinking that this is like a UFO, like these are aliens and they're just coming and abducting things. And I think at some point it kind of makes the switch where, no, this isn't a UFO. It's actually just a big scary monster that's flying around in the sky. Like this is like a living being, and you keep poking and prodding at it, and now it's agitated.
Yeah.
So it takes its final form as this jellyfish thing, and it eats the big helium balloon. That does not go very well. It seems to kill the thing. So I guess problem solved. I don't know.
I mean, I suppose there's a really great scene at the end though, where M kind of she's excited that it's dead. It's a close-up on her face. He does that so well. All of Peele's film has these close-ups of people who have either just experienced a lot of trauma or they're about to experience trauma, and their close-ups are just beautiful. And but she sees OJ outside the park. He's now on the horse, on one of the horses called Jean Jacket, and
Jean Jacket was the name of the alien, of the monster.
Was it? Oh, okay. Sorry. There's a lot of code names. I don't know. They're sitting on a horse. He's sitting on a horse, but he's looking, he's got this orange crew shirt on from when they were in.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember. He went to a movie set with his dad. It was the same movie, but now I'm drawing a blank on what movie it was. So
yeah, it was cool though, but it's like bright orange, and so he's there, and they're brother and sister they've saved the ranch. They're gonna have to whitewash and repaint that whole house, but that's okay. That's all right.
Eventually, the police are going to turn up and be like, "Why is your house covered in blood?" That seems bad, but for now, problem solved. I don't know. I don't think they ever really got their good footage, but Emerald did get a pretty good photo of it, I guess, in there. So that's kind of where it ends. You don't know how it's going to resolve, if the horse ranch is going to keep going, if Emerald is going to try to take this photograph and make a name for herself. And I don't know. That's kind of not the point, right? I guess it's more where these people are and what they were doing in pursuit of kind of fame and glory, and not, we go from Jordan Peele's first film, which is Get Out, where the protagonist is very much like, this is wrong, I should leave, to to this one where they're like, this is wrong, let's see if we can capitalize on it. And that's kind of it, and that's kind of the lesson we take away from it. So Michaela, we kind of ran through the story here a little bit. We talked a little bit about our expectations going into it. Let's talk a little bit about kind of the individual components here. So we have Daniel Kaluuya back, fresh off of his Oscar win last year for Judas and the Black Messiah, his second go around with Mr. Peele in a film. What do you think about Daniel Kaluuya as OJ here, our protagonist? I guess we should say.
Totally. And I loved him. I thought he was really understated, which is hard to do as an actor. I think that. He did that very well, because, as you say, it's not like he's coming up with these ideas, but he's going along with the ideas. But he has these really great one-liners. There's not a ton of dialogue that he gives, just an overall kind of presence. It's really good. I really liked him in it. But pretty much everything he's in lately, I mean, I'm fascinated by.
He's super brilliant, and really understated, doesn't have a ton of dialogue. Who he reminds me of in the Hollywood spectrum in that way is Tom Hanks, when Tom Hanks is doing something introspective, and he can convey so much in his facial expressions and the way that his eyes can look in a scene, and like exactly what he's feeling and what he's trying to convey. I get a lot of those same vibes, and obviously both brilliant, but very, very understated. I really liked his performance here.
Yeah, for sure. And Keke Palmer, I mean, I hadn't seen her. She was in Akeelah and the Bee. I think that was one of the first films that she did. And that was a while ago. I loved this character that she plays. It's super fun. And she's also, they have a good chemistry of kind of brother and sister, where he kind of puts up with her, and but they understand each other well. And so even at the end, there's this scene, and they talk about it, where when she was young, she was like, hey, I don't care about this ranch the way that you do. Dad was supposed to teach me how to train this horse, and he doesn't even ask me when it's my birthday and it's time for me to train the horse. He asks you. And of course, the brother could see that she was disappointed. And there's that kind of scene they go over, and they kind of enact the same thing at the end, where he is looking at her and he's like, I got my eye on you. Like, I see you. I see what you're trying to do. It's okay. And so they do that really well. But they're also, I feel like, so they're close enough. And I don't have a sibling that I grew up with and lived with. So I think that they do that very well. It's very believable.
Yeah, I really liked her kind of take on that. You get the good introduction where she's going through the spiel there when they're on the Hollywood set that you see from the trailer there, and that's excellent. And yeah, she just has kind of this vibrancy about her, and still just she talks about it, that this was her side hustle. What she really wanted to do was to be famous, and that was kind of the underlying kind of thread of this. And then of course we have Steven Yeun as Jupe, as our child actor turned ghost town owner. You don't get a ton of him in here, because he's very kind of side of the story. It's really kind of trying to propel along our monster story, more or less. But he's basically kind of in these two scenes, and the one is where he's talking about his experience as the child actor on stage with the chimpanzee, and then later on the at the ghost town where they're doing the Star Lasso experience, or whatever that was called. And he gives these kind of two monologues, and the first one in particular, where he's talking about the childhood set, it's just incredible. Steven Yeun just crushes it in that. He's so good. He's had an Oscar nom, I believe, as well, right, for Minari. So just tons of really good talent in this one. What do you think, Steven Yeun? Amazing. I mean, and it's a great example of this isn't a huge part. It's a big part because there's only 3 or 4. I mean, there's like 6 actors really in this whole film, but it's a great example of taking the 2 key scenes and killing both of them.
because you can tell in the second scene when he's in front of all these people, he's trying, he thinks that this is going to be this precipice moment where it's going to change his career that basically was marred by this horrible experience as a child. And you really believe it. I will say, I totally agree with you. That first scene when he's explaining what, this SNL skit, rather than talking about what happened to him as a kid, he's talking about what's going on in the skit, and his eyes do this amazing kind of syncing with his cheekbones. I don't know how I don't know how hard he worked to make that expression, because I've never seen him do it anywhere else. It is not the same.
They just kind of like glaze over almost.
It is not the same that I've seen him in when he's playing, the sad things that happen in Minari. It's very different. It's super, like, I don't know if he talked to children, people of trauma and kind of mimicked their fate. I don't know, but it's so good. It's chilling. I mean, it stole the show. That particular monologue was just amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So the acting was all great. And then, kind of the filmmaking aspects of it. This movie, it looks insane. There weren't a lot of actors, so really kind of the atmosphere of it, and this, cloud UFO monster sort of thing. You're playing a lot on that. I really liked because we saw this in IMAX. It was shot in IMAX, so it's very big and vast looking, and everything's shot kind of at this, not at like a distance shot necessarily, but kind of like a half distance. So everything, all of the characters look a little bit smaller and the background looks a little bit bigger. It looks incredible. Especially, you mentioned kind of in the run up in like the opening scene, just when we're on the horse farm and you're seeing like the little things like the sprinklers going, and they're just eerie, and very unsettling, which is, kind of the running theme through all of Peele's films here, is just that, everything just feels a little bit off. You don't ever feel quite settled into the story that you're being told. And then probably the most kind of horror feeling bit of this movie are when the three kids are on the farm, right? And you're seeing them crop up, in the way that he's using like things to, block their appearance. And, he's using like they're kind of fuzzed out almost because it's dark, and the way that they're using like light and objects to hide them. Just really great. Like some of probably the best, like visually, like best and most interesting like horror elements that I've seen, in a long time, where it's not like beating you over the head that these things are scary. It wasn't necessarily jump scares. Like it was more ominous and creepy feeling than anything, I thought.
Yeah. And I think the timing of this coming out of the pandemic, I mean, arguably the pandemic is still happening, people, but the world has kind of moved on. But when I think about this, the shots that really take place in the sky, I mean, we've spent a better part of the last couple of years inside, right? And so really questioning and looking at the vastness of the shots, and how, there's a moment where they can't see it during the day, right? They feel a lot safer during the day, but they notice that like one cloud just doesn't move. So all these other clouds are kind of moving around this one cloud. And so, I think the vastness of that, and the fact that now, I'll be looking at the sky a little bit differently going forward, is probably was, well, maybe was part of the whole idea. It just, again, it was the idea, and the story really is crafted beautifully, but it's also shot really well. And it was actually done in California, which is great. I love it when something's when they're on set, or not on set, but they're on location, because you really get the feel of what's happening. And so that whole valley, I don't know how long it took them to shoot it, but they did a really good job. Especially kind of the shots when you're going over the ground, looking at all of the flying men things,
the
that are
arm
like
guys,
the wavy arm guys, and how your heart kind of stops when the wind stops and they stop moving because the electricity has been cut out. Oh, it's good. And it's real good.
And I don't even know like where you would begin. Like if Jordan Peele came to me and is like, hey, I need a bunch of inflatable wavy arm guys, for the next 20 miles out into the distance, I'd be like, I'm going to need a lot of extension cords to get that
extension
taken
cords.
care
I'm
of.
going to have to go to every used car lot from here to Kentucky, and I'm
Yeah,
going to have to get all of the things, and I'm going to have to use 65 million car batteries. Yeah. I don't know how they
exactly.
made it happen, but they did it.
Yes.
It was great.
So it looked beautiful. And then kind of just some closing thoughts here. I think that there were a lot of really good themes in the movie. Coming out of the movie last night, I wasn't really sure how I felt about it. I'm not sure about you. I don't want to speak for you. I don't know that you really understood how you felt about it because it's a lot to take in. And a lot of it is very, very subtle and very layered. So we were kind of talking after the movie, you and I, and we are both kind of, yeah, we kind of conceded that we needed to sleep on it a night and, kind of come back to revisit. And I think that an actual revisit is definitely warranted and something that I'm actually, kind of when I was, getting some stuff together for the episode this morning and then talking with you about it here, like I'm like really jonesing to get back and see this again. Probably not in the not too distant future now that you kind of know the story and what's happening and you can look for more of those layers and try to piece it together because I don't know, coming out of it last night I was like this feels very genius, but I also feel like I don't understand it. And I really want to understand it, I think. But what were your kind of thoughts, coming out of our theater last night?
Well, I definitely felt like it was an intelligent horror film, right? So,
Hmm.
which made me feel good because I love a good horror film, and I think that this definitely fit that bill for me. I agree with you. I think that the more you watch this, the more you're going to pick up on certain subtleties. We watch a lot of films, so I think that we got most of what we needed to out of it. But I definitely agree. I mean, I think with all of Jordan Peele's films, the more you watch it, the more you're going to learn from it, and the more you're going to see. And this is definitely no different. But yeah, I definitely felt like I needed to sleep on it. I don't understand. There's a scene where, I mean, it looks like a flying saucer, and then it sucks up one of the filmmakers,
Hmm.
Angel. He survives, but he basically wraps himself up in like plastic tarp and barbed wire.
Hmm.
And maybe it's after that it kind of comes out of whatever camouflage where it was looking like a flying saucer and now it looks like this jellyfish.
Right.
um
Yeah.
that was interesting. It's got this really weird like green box for a mouth, and that
Hmm.
part was kind of weird where it looks like parachute, um like almost like parachute material is like
Right. Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
out of this
Yeah. It's like
box.
that, like nylon, yeah, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really neat. But in the sky, you were like, I don't know why it looks this way now. But I think now thinking about it more, it's a testament to spectacle, right? And
Hmm.
we've needed a lot of spectacle in the last couple of years. Um, and it's also a testament to kind of animals and using animals and exploiting them and trying to control them, I think.
Right.
And at first I was like, why do we have this whole backstory of this chimpanzee that loses their mind and kills and maims a bunch of people on a set? Why is that a thing? And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, it was really the same story told twice, because
Right.
this
Hmm.
guy Juke was like, I'm going to do the same thing. And he didn't learn, not that it was his choice in the first place, but, he didn't see the gravity of that, either because he was so traumatized or, whatever, that he was doing the same thing, and that there are consequences to creating a spectacle using animals.
Right.
And not to say that, I mean, and it's they were very clear that no animals were harmed in the making of this film. So the chimp is fine, and the horses are fine. All the things are fine. But I thought that was I think it's an interesting take on what could have been just a run of the mill kind of horror film about an
Yeah.
alien monster thing.
Yeah, and I think it kind of harkens back to that biblical verse that it opens up with, right? I will cast abominable filth upon you, make you vile, and make you a spectacle. So, I think in trying to create a spectacle, you get it from the chimpanzee at first, and then trying to make a spectacle out of this, that you'll actually, be cast, upon with filth, and you will be the one that has made the spectacle. And then, yeah, I think a lot of that has to do then with kind of that unresolved childhood trauma, which I think is what that shoe represents. That's not falling over. It's kind of standing up on its end, like it never falls over like it should. It's kind of unresolved, and that's you see that carrying through to Jupe then. As he's not able to process that trauma and to learn the lessons and
Yeah.
things, and probably get the mental help that he would have needed, back from 1998 and that. So yeah, that is Nope. It is pretty crazy. It is pretty wild. It is. It's different than I thought it was going to be, which is not a bad thing, and I'm very excited to see it again. So let us know out there if you are going out to the movies to see Nope, if you've seen it, what you think about Jordan Peele's other films, which one's your favorite, and what you thought about this one. So let us know that. Let us know if you make yourself a flying horse, because you definitely should, and it's easy way to jazz up a regular martini. So do that. Make one of those up, take a picture of it, and send that in to us. You can tag us on our Instagram and Twitter. It's at Drink the Movies, and on Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to see pictures of ours, pictures of Michaela and I at the theater last night, getting the written recipe, episode recaps, all that stuff, you can do that on our website. And after you have abolished this sky monster with an inflatable Frisch's Big Boy, you should swing by your favorite podcast player and leave us a review. Michaela, where can they do that?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. We just made the top 100 podcasts for Good Pods.
Yeah.
So please, if that's where you're listening, keep doing that. I love that. Super excited to spread the cocktail movie love. Leave us a 5-star review. The more reviews you leave, the more you tell your friends, the more we can get Drink the Movies out there.
Exactly. We do appreciate that, and yeah, love to see that good feedback on Good Pods already. So definitely loving that. So with that in mind, Michaela, we need to decompress. I need to see about going to see this movie again so I can further understand it. And I don't know. We'll have to keep at this one until we get it, because I think both you and I want to go see this again, and we definitely want to make another flying horse. So we're going to go do that.
Absolutely.
And we'll be back next week to talk to everyone about another movie on
Drink the Movies.
Nope.